Okay, it's a little bit after 9, so why don't we just get started, and anybody who is not here yet can just join us when they can. Good morning, bonjour. Happy to see everybody here. Thank you so much for joining us. We're also happy to see a lot of our new members here this morning. So we're thrilled to see that you'll have an opportunity to learn a little bit more about the French American Chamber of Commerce Chicago, and to meet a couple of our board members who are on the phone. And at the end of the presentation, we'll give everybody a chance to introduce themselves so that we all know who is here, what industry you're in, whether you are in Chicago or still in France. I think some of you are still in France, and ask any questions you might have about how the FACC can help you, how you can help each other, or if you have any just general questions about what's happening in Chicago right now, in the French American business community right now. So welcome everybody. My name is, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Andrea Jett. I'm the Executive Director of the French American Chamber of Commerce in Chicago, the Chicago chapter. We are part of a network. Molly, can you change the slide?
Yeah.
Thank you. We are an independent nonprofit organization, a non-governmental nonprofit organization. We are supported and financed through membership dues, sponsorships, events revenue, and business services revenue. Our mission, and really is sort of a two-part mission, and one is to promote, to network and connect the local French American business community, and also to locally in the Chicago area, and to help French entrepreneurs, French businesses that are, can you go back please, that are thinking about setting up their business in the Chicago area. So our geographic region is mainly the Chicago area, and we are we also have, I would say about 90% of our members are in the Chicago region. We also have 10 to 15% of our members in the Milwaukee area, and soon, this was a bit delayed by the events of this calendar year, but we are working on setting up partnerships with the Indianapolis Chamber of Commerce so that we can also serve and work with the French businesses that are set up in the Indianapolis area. So the FACC of Chicago is part of a much larger network. There are 18 chapters of French chambers in the United States, and there are 135, around almost 135 French chambers around the world. So though we are all independent, independently funded and financed and governed, we are part of a much larger global network of French chambers of commerce. We communicate often, we work together, we collaborate, we share information. And for those of you who are already members of the FACC Chicago, you know that when you're in our member database, you could search a member by keyword in a certain sector in another chamber in another part of the world, and you would be able to find a connection that way. We also, because we're a very small organization, we're going to get to that in a minute, we couldn't do what we do without a lot of partners in the Chicago area. The French network in the Chicago area is vast, as you probably, many of you might probably know. We have the French consulate to the Midwest is based in Chicago. We have 2 French schools in Chicago. One of the largest Alliances Françaises in the world is based in Chicago. We share an office space with Business France and the consulate. We work closely with the Conseiller du Commerce Extérieur de la France, which is a group of French executive level advisors who work directly with the French government from their location. We do a lot with them. And then there are other also smaller organizations like French in Chicago that we collaborate with regularly also. I talked about our geographic coverage. We're hoping to get Indianapolis off the ground before the end of this calendar year. We have a meeting about that soon. If anybody is interested in participating in that effort, if you have an office or if you know of somebody in Indianapolis, please let me know. We'd be happy to have you join our planning committee for that. As I said, we have a small team, so I'd like to introduce them. Molly McGrail, who's our events manager, but I have to add that she does much more than that. So she does, events, membership, communications. There's a lot on her plate, so the title is a bit misleading. But she's there, and Laurie Bourguignon, who is our intern, who is also on the call, though she might not be on camera, but she's with us. She is also in charge of a lot of the emails that you receive and many of the social media posts that you see. She's behind the creative brain behind that. So we're happy to have her. It has not been much of an internship experience for her, unfortunately, since she only spent about 1 week in the office with us before we all had to go home. But you know, it's been an interesting time. So we're trying to stay connected as best as we can. We also have a few board members on the call who you'll meet at the end of the call. But I thank you all for all of you who are able to make it. Thank you for being here, and we'll definitely give you a chance to introduce yourselves at the end. This is just to give you an overview of our board composition. We have 23 board members. These are the companies. So for membership, so some of you are already members. Oh, sorry, I forgot about our partners, our local partners. So as you see, we are a small team, and the reason we're able to do as much as we are as a very small organization is because we partner with a lot of organizations in the Chicago area that help support businesses and entrepreneurs. So we work with a lot of incubators, and a lot of the incubators are very sector specific. So we work most closely with MHub, which is focused mostly on manufacturing and technology related to manufacturing. But we also work with 1871 and their tech team, and they also have a smaller sub incubator that focuses just on health, and we do a lot of work with them. We have a lot of public sector partners. We work with the state of Illinois, we work with the city of Chicago, we work with the Indy Chamber of Commerce, and we work with the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation based in Milwaukee and Madison. And we also have a lot of university and nonprofit partners who provide us with a lot of support, with interns, with issue area experts, and a lot of other sort of cross collaborations in those areas. So Chicago is and Chicago and the region are a rich place to be for businesses, a lot of resources, and the Chamber has a pretty wide network of connections to help connect you to the right places, the right organizations, and any other organization that can help support your business in any way that we can't. So to give you an overview of our current membership, we have almost 200 members in the Chicago and Milwaukee and Indianapolis areas. Not surprisingly, and one of the advantages of Chicago, which makes it an interesting place to be, is that the economy is very diverse. It's hard to say that Chicago has just one or two sectors like some other large cities do. So our membership composition really reflects that. The primary sectors represented are manufacturing, transportation and logistics, food and agribusiness, biotech and pharmaceutical, med tech and med devices, fintech and various services. So we have a pretty diverse membership base. We are, for those of you who are members, we've updated our member benefits recently. All of this information is also on our website, but just to run through it pretty quickly. Membership gives you preferential rates, of course, on all FACC Chicago events. We also have, and Molly will get into this later, we also have a number of members only events. And it also gives you preferential rates on any type of services, promotion packages, any of the other programming or services that the FACC provides. The directory, the online directory, which I mentioned earlier, which is not just us, but it's also it's all of the chambers. It's access to the members of all of the chambers around the world, the French chambers around the world, who are connected to the same database. For corporate members, everybody, all of your employees, all of your local employees have access to the member benefits. We are here, of course, as an organization to help connect you directly to other members. So if there's any way we can help you with that, please let us know. We will do that. We have a number of committees and working groups, which we're going to get into next and explain a little bit. Those are reserved for members, so that it's an opportunity for members to either engage in networking within sectors or within job functions, or simply in professional development contexts. We also have a number of professional services, professional services, our business center. Can you go back? Sorry, I was still on that one. mentoring programs, a duo mentoring program that's a partnership with the Conseiller du Commerce Extérieur, and then our Women for Women mentoring program, which we're going to talk about in just a minute. Any new member, and some of you I think are joining us today, if you haven't yet, we would like to give you an opportunity in another event, in a lunch or in another context, to present your company or your product or your service. And I think that we have some new members who haven't had a chance to do that yet. So we would like to make sure that we get that scheduled with you, or that we find a way to sort of announce your arrival and talk about what you're doing. It's particularly difficult these days when we're not able to see each other in person and have these conversations. We want to make sure that everybody's aware of who has just arrived and who's new to Chicago and who is doing what, and that you get a chance to introduce yourself. So that's, we'll have to schedule all of that. You can move on to the next one. Thank you. So here is just an overview of our business services. So that's sort of the second category of things that we do to assist companies and organizations that are not here yet, or that are still in growth or expansion phase. And one of them is Learning Expedition. So that's a fairly new program that we launched, unfortunately, last year. And we had a few scheduled for this summer, but obviously things changed. But the idea is to provide an opportunity either for groups of executives from a France-based company, or partnerships with business schools, to set up multi-day learning expeditions, meetings with companies, site tours, site visits, tailored meetings that can be general, and an overview of the local economy, or can be very sector specific, depending on the needs of the organization. So we do the very, very tailored multi-day learning expeditions to sort of show off some of the highlights of the local economy. We help companies that are still based in France, or that are here but are trying to grow, to set up their business by connecting them to key partners and resources and collaborators, potentially clients. We also offer training and guidance on specifics of the US business culture, which can be important, especially at the beginning. We offer relocation information, not just for businesses, but for families. When you're relocating, it's not just you usually, but it's a bigger, more personal decision. So we try to help support as much as possible any resources and guidance we can give you on that. And then we have the job mentoring program, which we'll get into a little bit later. We have a business center that has private offices, shared office space, co-working space, and also an option for virtual office hosting. So if you need a short-term office space, if you are just coming through Chicago for a short period of time and need a place to plug in a laptop and work for a bit, you're welcome to come to our space. And if you are thinking about setting up your business in Chicago, or in the US generally, but haven't made that big decision yet of setting up your filiale, your branch, or renting a physical office space, we also have a virtual office hosting program where we can create an a mailbox for you using our address, and make sure that you receive your mail wherever you need to. If you are bringing on a VIE, which is complicated right now, but hopefully within the next couple of months, we'll be back to a more an easier situation with the J1 visa holders. We have a partnership with the incubator M-Hub that I mentioned earlier, which is focused on manufacturing, and they are currently hosting, I think, 3 French VIEs in their office space. And it's a great setup because it allows these young people to have access to a working laboratory, to resources, to presentations and networking that they wouldn't necessarily have if they were working in a small office. So that's one of a partnership that we're really happy with. And then taking your business to the next level, we have a pretty active job and CV page on our website. If you haven't seen it yet, I would invite you to visit it. It's particularly busy right now. There are a lot of people who are looking for jobs and a lot of people who are looking for internships. So we're doing our best to keep up and trying to connect job and internship seekers with companies that are looking for great interns and job candidates. So we have both CV postings and job opening postings on our career page. If there's anything you would like to send to us, we would be happy to put it up there as well. And then, as I mentioned, we have a couple different types of mentoring programs. One is the DUO mentoring program, which is a partnership with the Conseiller du Commerce Extérieur. And that's more of a CEO, entrepreneur, sort of guidance mentoring program for somebody who's just arrived in the US and who needs a bit of guidance on how to work locally. And then we have a more involved mentoring program, which helps people who are in career transition to find new jobs. We can move on to the next one, and I'd like to just to make a distinction among the committees that I mentioned, and then I'll turn it over to our board member Mariam. So we have, and again, these are reserved for members, but we have a series of committees and working groups, and the way I would sort of distinguish them into three categories. We have the sectoral committees, which were created to bring together industry leaders from very specific industries to network and collaborate. So in one of those is the Food and Agribusiness Committee, which we'll see on the next page. We have working groups, which were created to allow people who have the same job function, but across sectors, to be able to network and collaborate and exchange best practices. And then we have the committees that are more focused on professional development, and that's the mentoring committee. We have a small business and entrepreneurs committee, which was created for the only committee that is reserved really for French people who are either leaders of entrepreneurs or leaders of small businesses in Chicago, to allow them to have open, honest discussions about what it's like to run a business here, and ask each other questions and be a resource and a source of guidance for each other. And then finally, we have a young professionals committee, which is pretty self-explanatory, which is a bit more of a social networking committee. When those things are allowed, not surprisingly, we haven't had an event in a while, but we are in the process of scheduling a young professionals job fair, which we're hoping that we'll be able to do at the end of October or beginning of November. Now I'd like to turn it over to our board member Mariam, who's also the chair of the Women for Women Mentoring Committee. She can talk a little bit about the committee and about hopefully the future name change. But Mariam, thank you for being here. I'll turn it over to you.
Of course. Bonjour tout le monde. My name is Miriam Hetz. I am a board member. I am also the founder of Axam Consulting, which is a human capital services firm based out of Chicago, and the chair of Women for Women Committee. As Andrea mentioned, we'll probably change the name. It's basically a committee for women and men, where we offer a mentoring program for people that are transitioning work, who may already be in the US, or people coming to the US and be looking for a job, navigating, the job market in the US, which is, different from other countries. So originally, from a historical background, this program was for mostly women, French, following their husbands to the US, and who were basically trying to find jobs, and they needed support and mentoring, support. So we're in 2020, so we're being more inclusive. So now this program is open for women, men, any gender you may have, and also not only French people. So it could be, European. The only requisite that we have is that you have to be a member of the chamber. And then there's a specific process where you fill out forms. You will interview with committee members, and if you hit all the criteria, you'll be part of the mentoring program. So we're always looking for mentors and mentees. So for the mentors, it is voluntary, but you can always talk to all fellow mentors part of the program. And then for mentees, as I mentioned, there's an application process. Just follow the link on the website, and you'll see everything will be detailed. So in terms of activities, we meet once a month. So before COVID, it was in person. We were doing, kind of a lunch and learn where we have different topics that could go from how to have a really good LinkedIn profile to how to network, looking, when you're job searching. So now everything is remote, obviously, over Zoom, but we're still doing those lunch and learn once a month, typically on Friday around lunchtime. The other big thing that we do is our annual breakfast panel. So this year, the topic will be networking is not universal, bridging the cross-cultural divide. So basically, the panelists will be talking about networking best practices across countries, genders, generations, and industries. So no matter where you're from, no matter what age you are, and if you're trying to cross or change professions or industry, so the panelists will be talking about that. So this is for October 22nd at 8:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. So please register. So those are really, really good conversation. It is not just for women. Everybody's invited. Great conversation where the panelists, talk about, a certain topic, and then in the end, we have a Q&A session. So that was my portion around the Women for Women Committee, and we will change the name very soon to be more inclusive. Any questions from the people on Zoom this morning?
And if not, we can always take questions later. You can email me later. Mayim, is there anything else you wanted to add, though? I don't want to.
No, that was it. Unfortunately, I do have to drop because I have another meeting coming up. So thank you for your time. If you have questions around this, feel free to email Andrea or Molly, and I would be happy to follow up with you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and have a good morning.
A bientôt.
Thanks.
So we will send everybody who's on this call a copy of these slides, and you'll see that there will be a link on these slides to the area of the web page where all of these committees will be listed, and there's a contact person for each one of them. So we're happy to follow up with you on any of these if you would like to get involved in one. By registering for this event, you are going to start getting all of our emails, so you'll see when there's an upcoming event, and we'll keep you updated on that. I quickly went over sort of the general idea of the sectoral committees, the functional committees, and the working groups. We have, as of yesterday, a proposal for a new committee. So I'm going to, which is our XR and Gaming Tech Committee. I would like to turn it over to Sébastien Blou, who's on the phone with us today, to give us an overview of his concept. This is how committees are formed, just as a general note, is we have, usually it's because somebody comes to us and says, hey, I have an idea, or I see a need, or I think that we could really do something interesting and get a group of people to participate in meetings and gatherings and learning opportunities around a certain subject area. So Sébastien has an interesting proposal, and I thought this would be a good opportunity for him to present it. Thanks, Sébastien.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Andrea. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to present this committee. So you may not know me. I just arrived in the French American Chamber of Commerce as a member a few weeks ago. I'm not even in Chicago yet. I will land there by the end of the year, so November or December 2020. I'm still in Paris right now in France. So I've been working for almost 15 years in the industry, the video game industry, but not only the gaming industry. I'm using gaming technology and gamified content to promote new ways of working in normal companies, which are going to use gaming technologies for training in order to bring awareness or for promotion, all those different aspects. So what I call gamified content or technologies are elements essentially based on three fundamentals, which are interactions, immersion, and storytelling. So interactions between a human and machine are social interactions between humans. Immersion in an environment, which could be fictional or a real one recreated for a specific objective. and storytelling, which bring the emotional value by creating scenarios which would offer a frame to a whole experience. So gaming has been considered for years a hobby for kids. Now the average age of players is 40-year-old and includes as many men as women. So it's there's new ways of interacting, immersing, or telling stories, and virtual and augmented reality are for me the new revolution, and that's topic I'm working on every day. So I'm being a huge fan of these trends, and I just suggested Andrea the idea of having this committee, XR and gaming technology. I wrote the pitch. Maybe you can already access the pitch on the website. But given that I'm not there yet, I'm still wondering how to push the things. But I'm already in touch locally with people involved in the industry, which are helping people use those technologies, or which are in other companies using those technology. So because there's all these things will be a game changer for all sectors, all the one you may know from manufacturing to healthcare, by way of the automotive of the retail industry. And they are going to become mainstream in our lives, which private or professional lives. So it sounds to me a good idea to try to start something with this committee. So everybody is welcome. If you are any professional, if you're just interested in these technologies, if you are trying to work with these technologies, everybody is welcome, and we can try to discuss of different topics.
Thank you, Sebastien. So we'll stay tuned. Once Sebastien is here in Chicago, we will set up a kickoff event. But please feel free to be in touch before then, and we'll keep you updated on anything, on any information. So I think now I'm going to turn it over to Molly to talk about, speaking of events, to talk about our events.
Thank you. Thank you, Sebastien, also, of course. And to Mariam, I know she had to hop off the call, but as Andrea said, you can contact us anytime for follow-up, and of course we'll have our time for Q&A after as well. So I'll briefly just share our events. I know for those of you who are on our email list, you're already clued in. Disclaimer that obviously right now we're not having events in person, but we are absolutely having events. We even had our gala this summer virtually, and it was pretty fantastic. It was our first time doing it, and it allows for people who otherwise can't participate in our events to attend. So that's been one highlight of our virtual events. That said, in a typical year, we have about 2,000 plus attendees over a span of 40 different professional business events. With roughly 3 to 5 events each month, sometimes more depending. The nature of the events varies, according to what members are wanting, according to what so I'll back up and say that our events are generally open to public, non-members, and then members. So we're always looking for ways to tailor it to the current environment, make sure we address topical events, timely events, have expert speakers present, and not do the same thing over and over again. So we're constantly changing what we're offering, whether it's our business services or our events. That said, we have some recurring events that are pretty typical, like our networking cafes. Right now, those are online on Zoom. What we'll do, it's a pretty intimate group that gathers together. Early morning, grab your coffee, grab your tea. We will generally talk about our own specific industries, who you are, what you do. It's a great way to meet. And then our monthly luncheons. So usually we're at a French restaurant every month. Right now, what we'll do is we'll send you how you can order in from a French restaurant or get delivery or pickup. We'll all meet for a lunch once a month. Again, members, non-members. And recently we've introduced members only luncheons as well for these, just to better facilitate business networking in a time where meeting in person and shaking hands isn't currently the way to go. So we have a few of those coming up, of course, through the end of this year, and I'll make sure all of this I'll follow up on email. So if it's too quick to follow, don't worry, you'll get an email from me about all our different events. As I mentioned, we have subject matter expert webinars, again, in person and virtual. So we can talk about, I know Andrea highlighted the different sectorial committees and working groups. Typically, we will focus on one of those areas for our subject matter expert webinars, but we've also had, how do you hire someone new during this time virtually? How have cultural expectations changed, specifically cross-cultural, or how have they stayed the same? Making sure that you're, as a salesperson, you're getting your point across, on a video chat versus flying, meeting someone in person, etc. I could go on and on, but I won't. So throughout the year, we have the breakfast events, lunches, we have, evening networking events, and plenty more that aren't described here, again, because we're always adapting it to what everyone needs or is wanting. We do an annual survey to make sure we're up on that as well. As Andrea mentioned, and Mariam, you can email us anytime if you have ideas, something you're not seeing that you want to see, or if you want to help facilitate one of our events as an expert speaker, for example. I briefly touched on our gala that we had this summer virtually, which was a lot of fun, but also because we had breakout Zoom rooms and things like that for sponsors, people were able to really do some business networking in a way that actually in a positive way, where if you're stuck at a table, you don't necessarily meet everyone in the room. And this time an advantage was you could pretty much meet everyone in the Zoom room throughout the gala, which was neat. And again, we try to facilitate that on email as well. So if you're a member or non-member and are curious, just be sure to send us an email. As Mariam mentioned earlier, on October 22nd from 8:30 to 10 a.m., we have our Women for Women breakfast panel. It's a pretty big annual event, usually have about 80 plus attendees. So we'll look forward to welcoming you to that. It is open to all, despite the committee name that'll be changing very soon. So don't hesitate at all. Everyone's welcome. In fact, it's better when you have a really good mix of people, obviously. And then finally, a couple of our other events. So we have typically a factory tour every year. As the name indicates, we do generally visit a factory in person. We anticipate being able to have that in 2021, so we'll keep you posted. We have a couple things lined up for that. And then finally, our final kind of ultimate event of the year is Passport to France, which this year is going to be a mix of in-person opportunities for people who are comfortable going out to restaurants or dining in person, and then also virtual events, virtual wine tasting, mixology classes, and things of that nature. So the idea is to be flexible given the current environment, but also doing what is our mission, which is supporting local French businesses and Francophone businesses as well. So the idea, as you can see here, is visiting France without leaving Chicago. And in this case, it will take place over a period of 3 weeks. We'll be announcing more details on this in an email that we're sending today, but this is a general overview. So when you purchase your ticket, it's basically a digital passport. So you'll be able to visit restaurants in person if you're comfortable with that. You can, do delivery or pickup. And again, there's going to be exclusively virtual options where if that isn't your thing, you'll still be able to participate. And to top it all off, we will have over 30 silent auction and raffle offerings all online. We'll make sure you get anything shipped directly to your house as well that you might win. So all that to say, stay tuned on that because we'll be announcing it really soon. And if you have any questions on Passport, our events, ideas for events, or ways that you personally want to participate, please let me know. You can email Andrea too, but you can email me directly. I'm always happy to hear ideas. So, and with that, I'll turn it back over to Andrea.
Thank you all. I think now we're just going to take the rest of this time to let everybody on the call. Actually, I'd like to turn, if Michael, if you're there, I'd like to give you an opportunity to just say hi. Michael Tarancic is our board president. He just hopped on the call not too long ago. Just wanted to give him a chance to introduce himself, and then we can open it up for questions from everybody who's here.
Yes, thank you, Andrea. I appreciate it. I apologize. I had another Zoom call that I had to jump on right away at 9 o'clock, but I'm really happy to be here. Thank you all for attending this Zoom call. And I just wanted to highlight, a couple of the points that Andrea and Molly have made, which is we are very much committed to providing as much of an opportunity for networking and business development, as well as social networking opportunities as we can under the circumstances. So I think we've done a really good job of transitioning over the past several months to our more virtual environment. We're looking forward to having in-person events in the very, very near future as soon as we can. But really what I would say is, after having been involved with the Chamber now for over 15 years, it is an extraordinary opportunity for you to develop strong long-term connections in the business community in Chicago. But it is like everything else, what you make of it. So I encourage you to get involved, attend events, participate in committees, really embrace the full experience of the FACC, because just at least in my experience, it's a very beneficial opportunity. I've developed business contacts over the years, long-term business contacts, as well as friends, long-term friends. So I really encourage you to participate and look forward to your questions.
Oh, Andrea, you're on mute.
Sorry. Molly, can you stop sharing the screen so that we can all see each other? And then
Yes.
we'll make sure, we will send you this PowerPoint presentation after our call, so you'll have all the contact information. But now we'd like to open it up for questions for anybody who is still with us. And if we've never met you in person, please introduce yourself and your company, and so that everybody on the call knows who you are and where you're from. And if you could also just mention what industry you're in, that would be helpful too. Anyone? No questions?
Okay, I can start.
Yes, please. Hi.
Okay. Hi, my name is André Legendre. I'm CEO of Kalima System and founder of Kalima System. It's a software company dedicated to blockchain for industrial IoT. It's a lot of application domain, industry, supply chain, healthcare, smart cities, etc. Okay, we start business in US now. Voilà, this month, so it's quite new. We are member of the chamber from a few days, I think, and we also are member of M-Up now in Chicago. We didn't start to establish ourselves because with the visa problem, the guy who was supposed to go to Chicago is still in Paris. Okay. So, and we will have to wait for the next year, probably, hopefully. We need to go to US because 43% of the market share in our business is in US. And as the industrial and healthcare side is quite critical for us, we have to be for this kind of businesses. Voilà.
Thank you. Welcome.
Okay,
you're our newest member, so it's happy. Thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to meeting you in person when that's possible.
Okay.
Does anyone have any questions? Yes.
Hi, my name is Roy. I have been to the European networking event at the W Hotel a few times. And I know that FACC is involved. I'm not sure who owns the event, but I'm curious what membership costs and if what reciprocity is involved with the other ACCs.
So there are different levels of membership for the FACC, and we can we can send you an email after this call with the different levels. So if you're just an individual member, for the year it's $200. If you're getting a corporate membership, there are different levels that range from $300 to $750 with different benefits that go with that. So we can send you, one of us will send you a link to our membership page, and all that information will also be in the follow-up email that we send you. So those events, I think you're referring to the European networking events that we used to do every month.
Yeah.
And that's the one collaborative event that we do with the other European chambers of commerce. And for that event, it doesn't matter which chamber you're a member of. You attend it at the membership rate. We do not. We have an informal reciprocal agreement with the German American Chamber of Commerce, where we allow each other's members to attend our events at the member rate. But there's no general understanding or agreement with the network of European chambers in Chicago to offer reciprocal membership.
Okay. Apart from reciprocal membership, how much collaboration is going on now that everything's online?
So we've been talking about that. We've been actually talking about doing a European networking, a virtual European networking event. So that's in the works, and we definitely want to get one on the books this fall. I think we wanted to all be on the same page with the decision of not doing anything in person between now and the end of the year, and I think we've kind of all just come to that conclusion. I think everybody was trying to be optimistic through the summer, but the reality is that as winter comes, it's going to be more difficult. So we're looking at at getting something on the books for the fall.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have any other questions? And do you want to introduce yourself since we don't know you yet?
Yes, absolutely. Hi, I actually know Molly. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Again,
yeah. Okay, great. Yes, my name is Ann Paper, and actually I just moved to Minneapolis for family reasons. So I'm not yet a member of FACC Chicago, but very familiar with FACC. A year ago, left Seattle, where I had been working at Microsoft in marketing for close to 20 years. So I was very connected with the FACC Pacific Northwest, as well as the Alliance Française there. And I actually moved to Madison, Wisconsin for a graduate program in professional French. I did a bit of a life pivot, have always been a Francophile and a Francophone. So I was studying in Wisconsin, actually had a project with the consulate in Chicago, so was prior to COVID for the first few months of 2020 working with the attaché for agriculture and technology, James Datt. So that's where I met Molly, wanted to learn more about the Chamber of Commerce. Now I'm actually working with a small company based out of Montreal that's in the cycling industry. I don't know if you can see my poster behind me, but I'm an avid cyclist. The Tour de France is going on right now. So I'm helping that company actually get into the US market. Timing, of course, is a little challenging. We can't even get their bikes into the US at the moment, but so I really am interested in working with smaller businesses, being that liaison type of role, France, Francophone countries, businesses, and the US. So again, I'm in limbo, didn't think I would be in Minneapolis at this point in time, but for family reasons I am. So we'll see if I link up with the FACC in Minneapolis or can keep going and join Chicago. So sorry,
Well,
a little bit long-winded, but that's kind of my situation, and I was looking forward to at least connecting and meeting up with all of you virtually. So thank you.
Oh, good.
Very much appreciate it. I was just going to say one of the positives, and there aren't a lot of positives about the current situation, is that we have the ability to connect with individuals on a broader basis than we were in the past when we were primarily the Chicago chapter. So really, nice to meet you. Thank you for participating today, and feel free. I mean, it's 2-3 web clicks, and you're in the Chicago chapter. So.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Ann.
Yeah. Glad everybody's healthy.
So far, so good. Rene, if you're still on the call, is there anything you'd like to say about your company? You're muted, and I don't know if you're still there, but you're welcome to introduce yourself if you are.
Do you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I'm Rene Meyer. I'm located in Strasbourg, Switzerland. Strasbourg, France, excuse me, and I'm working with a healthcare company, healthcare startup here that has decided to start operations in the Chicago industry, probably sometime next year in the beginning of the year. So I'm looking at the Chicago area to see what's going on so I can help them prepare their involvement there. And I'm going to talk to Andrea in a little over an hour.
Yes.
I'll get some more detail.
Yes, good. I'm glad you got so we can cut out the what's the FACC part of our conversation, I guess.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Straight to the point.
Good. It's interesting to see, even though we have a small group now, that everybody is from very different sectors and industries, and that's part of what makes this, I think, these gatherings so much fun, and part of the uniqueness also of being in an economy like Chicago in the Midwest, where there really are, that attracts people from all sorts of backgrounds and sectors and industries. So that definitely is part of the the fun of getting together and meeting people from a range of backgrounds and experiences. And thank you to those of you who are in France for joining the call too. It's it's not late yet, but I guess it's close to cocktail time, so it's not too bad. But thank you. If we're happy to take any other questions. If there are none, we will follow up with everybody with all of the information from this call and links to anything else you might have. But feel free to ask us any other questions you have now, or to follow up with us by email later. We'd be happy to answer them. And for those of you, André, Rene, Sébastien, and who aren't here yet, we look forward to meeting you in person when you can be here.
Hopefully soon. Thank you.
Yes, I know.
Yes, very much. Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Hopefully soon.
And since we're all sitting here, if you have, for those of you who are still in France but planning to come, I assume that one of the big challenges and questions right now is related to visas. That's something that those are questions that Michael can answer. So we should probably we'll be sure to include his email in the follow-up email we send to everybody, in case he can help you sort of navigate some of those issues. It's complicated right now, and it seems to be changing every other day. So
I'm happy to help and consult, and as hopefully you're all going to be members of the chamber, we can have informal conversations first to help you sort of develop a strategy. So thanks, Andrea, for pointing that out. Yeah.
Great. All right. If there are no other questions, thank you all very much for being here. It was a pleasure to see some of you again, to meet some of you for the first time, and we hope to see you again soon.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
À bientôt.
Bye.
Bye.
Au revoir.